All right, so in that third section that I wrote, pretty much everything in there is like super central to how Blender functions and all the main things you'll be using all the time. So first thing, create a cube, Shift A, and I don't know if it helps you or not. I think it helped me when I was first learning Blender to have a notepad document that I would just write down each new shortcut as it came, and then that way I was I can kind of see it as I'm writing it, and my list is small. Instead of just trying to remember everything in my head, I can come back to this notepad and go, oh, you know, I learned 3 shortcuts today, and then you'll see those again and again, and it gets ingrained in your mind. So that might be a good idea to do that if you want to memorize shortcuts. And that's really the speed of Blender, is learning all the shortcuts that it has. So anyway, Shift A is to add. That's the add menu. And create your cube. I think this section... Anyway, I'll just keep going now. So the cube is made wherever the 3D cursor is. You can just hold down Shift and right click, or wherever you want for the 3D cursor to move. Yeah, and that's all. I'll talk about that for now. So object and edit mode. Oh, why is everything... Oh, I changed my theme, dang it. I had like a blue theme and stuff, but this is orange. So anyway, you have your object mode, which is kind of like the analogy I put in the document. It's like this is your container of food, and then this is the contents. Edit mode is the contents and stuff. You're just pressing tab to go in and out of that. I really wish I had another screen. Maybe I'll just... No. I'm so wishy-washy right now, just trying to figure out how to do this well. So, anyway, you can't edit the vertices if you're in object mode. You're just... Basically, the only thing you can really do in object mode is move it in 3D space, the whole thing, the whole contents. Rotate it, scale it. And that's G, R, S... to rotate, to move, rotate, and scale. And in object mode, you have like your modifiers over here in the properties. Those are applied at an object level. So, you know, let's say I put a mirror modifier on it. And let's just move this in the X in edit mode. So at object mode, this is the whole object, but the actual object itself is only this section, because on the object level I have this mirror modifier applied. So until I apply that, this extra geometry won't become part of the object. Does that make sense? That might be a little bit confusing.
A little bit.
Yeah. So any modifiers over here, and we'll go into what modifiers are later. Like there's a bevel modifier which just applies a bevel on everything. But until I hit apply on the actual modifier, when I go into object mode, it hasn't changed. So if I hit apply in object mode, blump, blump to those things, now all that is geometry. All that is part of the contents. So it's kind of like doing a fake thing on top until you apply it, and then it's like, okay, that's your geometry now. And then you can edit that in edit mode. But anyway, there's not a whole lot you gotta know right now. So I'll just create a new cube, and we'll go on. So I went over edit mode. And then you've got your face, your vertex, edge, and face selection differences up here in the top left. Or you can just hit 1, 2, and 3 to change between those. So if I want to select edges, I go into edge mode and hit 2. Or I can just hit 1. I have these on my 12 button mouse. I just have them, the first 3 buttons I've got 1, 2, and 3, so I can just change them super fast. I love doing that. But yeah, anyway, so there's vertex, edge, and face mode at the top. And then your selection types, You can use these over here. So I don't know, box select, click and drag, and then shift, click and drag, and or control, click and drag, and it will take away and add to your selections and stuff. Same with circle select, kind of like a brush select almost. And then select lasso at the bottom. You know, just drag and make your shape. And I don't even use these really though. I just use I use C. I press C for circle select, and it acts differently than the other one. You have to hold down C and drag to add, and then middle mouse to take away. And you can't rotate while you're doing this, which is why a lot of people don't like it. But that's just what I got used to. And then for box select, I'll just use B. So, you know what? I'm actually gonna take this. I want to take your window. There we go. Can I like get rid of this side as well? Maybe I'll just do that. There. Okay, now I can see your screen, so that's nice. Yeah, there you go. Adding the bevel modifier on. That's perfect. So, oh yeah, fun times. Whoa, that was weird. Okay, I think I'll skip that for now. Then there's the transparent view, which in edit mode you just press Alt-Z and you can look through your object. So then you can select anything that's behind your object. Yeah, just Alt-Z to toggle that. And then you're familiar enough now with the move, rotate, and scale with G, R, and S?
Yes.
Okay. Good, and then you've tried doing the, like, moving something in, like, the Z-axis, and then hitting a number, and so G, Z, 1 will just take it up in 1, so cool.
Wait, GZ1? Whoa.
And you can do, like, do you know you can do G Shift Z, and it locks it on the Z plane? And right now I'm in object mode, moving the whole thing, but you can, it works in edit mode too. It's fine. Any selection really. You just take it, press G, Shift Z, and then it moves it on the X and Y axis and not the Z axis, so it locks it. What are you doing? It's like wobbling. Are you holding like something? Oh, you're holding it. Yeah, you just press Shift Z.
Oh.
Yeah, and same with anything, like if I want it to go in the Z axis, I just press Z, and then just press Shift Z, and then you can do, like, you know, move it on the X plane, so Shift X, so it locks the X axis. Yeah. So that's pretty fundamental. So snapping then. Nice. So here's a helpful hotkey that I use a lot. Control Shift Tab brings up the snap-in menu. Control Shift Tab. And I always, you can actually hold down Shift and click another option, so I always have increment and vertex on. And so if your selection, so if you're like in edit mode, go ahead and bring another cube in. But make sure you're in edit mode. And Shift A to bring up the add menu and yep, add a cube. So now that I've got my two objects, if I make a selection and then I hold down Control, if it's not next to a vertex, if my cursor is not next to a vertex, it won't snap to a vertex. But if I am close to a vertex, it will snap to the vertex. And that's a nice thing about having both of the snapping options enabled. So that, you know, if I am going again along the grid, I can do that easily without having to switch back and forth. But if I do want it to go to vertex snapping, which I'm always doing, then I have that too. So you just hold down Control and it'll snap.
Oh. It's over there.
And that is weird. So yeah, there's snapping. And when we actually start building something, you'll start to see like a lot of practical use for this, but I'm sure you can guess how all these are super useful. Going on, and then you've got, you know, about the orthographic views. Numpad 1, numpad 3, numpad 7 is front, side, and top. Or you can hit the tilde button, hold that down, it brings up a pie menu. And then you can just choose your orthographic view from the pie menu. I don't use that one, I always use the numpad. I think that's nice. If you hold down Shift 1, Shift 3, or Shift 7, it'll do the opposite view, except... Oh wait, Control, sorry. Shift will actually, like, if you have a face selected, this is super useful. Say, like, I have this angle here. So I've got this angled face, and I want to move something along its same axes, and I want to have it still be aligned. If I hold down Shift 7, it's going to lock my view at that angle. So now I can just move anything, and it's going to be perfectly aligned, you know, with that angle, that face, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to see right now. Like, here, let's see if I do this. So, I'm going to add a cube. And then if I select this face and do Shift 7, this is just a fun tip, really. You don't really need to memorize this until you get into more complex stuff. Then it locks it onto that view, and I can move this around, and it's, you know, it just follows that plane. So if I drag it up, it's still aligned with the face. So that's nice. I didn't learn that until quite recently, so.
How do I get these two cubes to not pair with each other?
So they're in the same object, and you want them to be separate objects?
Yeah.
So all you'd have to do, go into edit mode. You just have to, yeah, that's right, tab. And then if you hover your mouse over one of them and press L to select all linked, and then press P to separate. I don't know why P is under separate. Separate is under P. You just hit selection. And now if you go back into object mode by hitting tab, now they're their own thing. And you'll notice that their origin point, that little dot, is not in the right place for both of them. But if you just select one that doesn't have the right origin in place and right click it, and then go under set origin and origin to geometry, it'll automatically put the origin point at the median point of the geometry. So there you go, there's your two objects. And then if you want to combine them again, you just shift select them both, or just have them both selected. Have the last one that you want to combine to, like the object that you want to combine to, that should be your last selection, or the active selection. So I'm going to click one first, then click the one that I want to join to, and then I press just Control J to join. Or it should just be under, no, Control J. Or you can find it in object, Maybe you can't find it in here. I don't know. I just know all the hotkeys. So, oh, yeah, there it is. Join. Object join. So, there you go. Then you can go back and separate it again. So there's that. Moving on. Okay, we covered pretty much like all the basic stuff. So, there's that. Document done. So, what should we build? Let's build that panel thing. So, if you've been shift right clicking, your 3D cursor moves all around the place. But wherever your 3D cursor is, that's where your object will be made when you add a new object. So, to put it back in the middle would be a pain if you're just trying to click right in the middle. You know, you could go into top view and click it in there, and then you could go to side view and click it there, and I'd get it close to the center. But if I just wanted to snap it right in the center, I could press Shift S, hold it down to bring up the pie menu, or I guess you can just press it actually, and then do cursor to world origin, and then that'll just snap it right in the middle. You can actually have it snap to a selected object too. So if you got one of your cubes over here and you wanted the 3D cursor to be right there, where the cube is, you just do cursor to selected, which is on the bottom. So that'll be useful when you start getting into making more stuff. So, we need a size reference, and size reference is 1.75 meters for a male human. So, Shift S to make sure your cursor is in the world origin, and then just delete everything that you have in your scene after you do that. And then Shift A to add, and then add a cube. And then I'll typically go in my front view if I'm trying to get a specific size. So just hit 1 on the numpad.
What was the other keybind?
Oh, tilde? Yeah. And then we want to go into edit mode once we are in the front view. Yeah, there you go. And we want to make sure we select all the vertices, so we need to be in the X-ray mode, or whatever it's called. I think that's what it's called. So Alt-Z. And then however you want to select them, but you need to group select. You can press either C or B. You just need to get those bottom ones. You can press Alt-A to deselect everything.
Alt-A?
Alt-A, yeah. A will select everything, and Alt-A will deselect everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. You can grab that. And you can press W to cycle through those options, those selection options.
Oh.
That can be nice. I think it's kind of clunky doing it that way.
Yeah.
It'd be better to like have a pie menu or something. It's like I just don't even use them. But I just use C and B because they're, and then just escape out of them when you don't need them anymore. And then just
B
drag.
is begin for me.
B is begin.
Oh, never mind. It worked.
Yeah, there you go. So then we need to just drag this up to the center. So have those bottom ones selected, and we should have increment snapping on. Control Shift Tab to bring that menu up and just check that. Yep, and there you've got it. Now, do you have absolute grid snap on? Because that's useful to have. If you have like a vertex that's not aligned on the grid, and if you have that on, it'll just snap it to a grid line, a segment.
What?
So press Control Shift Tab, and then you want to check this absolute grid snap, and that's super useful for what we're doing. Okay, so this is 1 meter tall, and we need it to be 1.75. So we'll grab those top ones, and then just G, Z, and Control. You're holding down Control to move it up. Oh, you press X.
I didn't.
It's moving in the x-axis. There you go. G, Z, and then holding down control and dragging it up. I just want to drag it up 7. Or I could actually right-click that to cancel it. Type this in. You won't even need to use your mouse. Just type in G, then Z, and then 0.75. And then hit enter. There you go. Yeah, I use that all the time. I'm always just typing numbers in like that. Now I can look at my cube and scale it to an appropriate width. So let's grab it all by pressing A and then hit S and scale it all in every axis but the Z axis. So press S and Shift Z. There you go. So that's our human size reference. And you could obviously be a lot more detailed or just pull in a human model. I usually use a link model from what I use for my Zelda environment, just for a scale reference. So here we go. Let's make our panel. So I'm just going to move this out the way. I'm pressing G, Shift Z, and then I'm just moving it around on the grid by holding down control. So then I just have it on, I don't know, just get used to holding down control when we're doing all this stuff. And I want it close by so then I can reference it when I'm making this big wall panel. Okay. Oh yeah. And if you don't press, like, if you're not locking it in the Z-axis, it could just be anywhere floating around in space.
Yeah.
Which is annoying. But if that's the case, it's fine. Just hit G, Z, and then hold down control to move it back up. And because you have the absolute grid snap on, it should lock. It should snap the bottom of the reference to the grid. So, and it looks like it did. Yeah, you're good. But yeah, I'm always using like G and then Shift Z. So then it's just running around on that floor plane. Alright. So I'm just going to drag it over here and let's create a new object. So make sure you're in object mode, which I think you are. Press Shift A and then let's bring up a plane. And it should just all be in mesh, yeah. I don't know if I ever use any other of these. I use curves sometimes. Curves are really nice to model with, and that's something Blender handles really well. But mesh and curve is like the only things I use. Okay, so now we want to edit it, so let's go into edit mode. And you already rotated it, but I can just hit R for rotate, X in the X-axis, and hit 90. Boop, and then it rotates it at an exact 90-degree angle. If you're worried about it not being angled, angled straight, don't worry about it. Just because we have the grid snap on and we're going to be snapping to the grid all the time, so that'll fix it. So I want to grab these bottom ones and hit G, Z, and control. G, Z, and then just control to snap it, and then yeah, just get it on the floor. Okay, our person is that big, so let's do this wall piece as a 4 unit long wall piece. So we can just grab this edge. I'm in edge mode now, just hit 2 to go into edge mode. I can just grab this side edge, hit G, and then X, and then hold down control. And then just snap it on that third one. And then, or yeah, you could just move it down so then it's like this. And this would actually be better. So then the corner is the origin. And however you want to do that, wherever you want that corner to be, that's fine. So now we have 4 units long. This will be kind of how wide our wall piece will be. Alright. Then we need to figure out how tall we want it. So GZ, and I'm just going to snap up in edit mode. Wrong object. It's not select. Yeah.
On the wrong object.
Yeah. Just hit tab again. Yeah, there you go. And then you can select that edge if you're in edge mode. So just hit 2 for edge mode. Yeah. And then I've got it 3 right now. I might do 4. And I'm just going to look in front view to make sure it is 4, and it has snapped. So
I think 3 is fine.
Yeah, okay, let's do 3 then. Okay, so now we've got the general like size we want, and a lot of what I was talking about in the video. You want to be thinking about the main shapes, then the medium shapes, and then the small details. So right now we have the general size. Now let's get the main form. So, okay. We need to add some more geometry to modify the shape. So in edit mode, we want to add some more lines. So if you press Ctrl R and put your mouse next to an edge, it'll show you where it's going to create a new line. We can actually scroll up on the mouse wheel or hit a number on the, type a number in, and that will change how many cuts it'll actually give us. I'm just going to give us like 4 to work with right now, and just accept that. After you click, it'll want to like move and drag, so just don't move your mouse, or if you do, just right click. And then just accept it. Okay, so now we have our lines. So let's see. In face mode, I'm going to pull this middle one. I'm going to grab this middle one, and you can just hit 3 for face mode. And then I'm just going to pull it back 1 unit. Actually, that's too big. I'm going to go in the top view and actually pull it back to half a unit. If you go into top view and you can see all these the increments of the grid, it'll actually snap to those, but in the regular perspective view, it doesn't have those to snap to. So that's a benefit of...
I just did 0.5.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Then I'm just going to grab this edge in edge mode, just hit 2.
Goofed up.
Oh, did you...
I subdivided too many times.
Oh.
What was the...
It's Control R. Now I would write these down in a notepad or something, so then you have them to reference. Yeah, you can just move that in GY 0.5, perfect. Nice! Okay, so edge mode, I'm just going to hit 2. And I'm just going to select this edge down here and pick it up a bit. And then move it in the Z. And I never even use the gizmo, but it's really nice that they have that. You just hit GZ. I think it's faster, so you're not having to aim your mouse at something. And just move it up a bit. It doesn't have to be exact. So I got something like that. And then... let's see. The guy's head is about here. So... I might actually just pick this up a bit. Pick this edge up in Z. Move that up. Just so it's about the same width as the bottom one. If I want to be super exact, I could even see it in the side view and count the squares, but I don't really care. It'll be fine. So, okay, that looks good. Now what? So this, I guess it's important to have a strong idea of what you are modeling, but if we're just gonna go with the reference in the doc, I'm just trying to find the reference. There it is. Okay, so if we're going with that, I don't know. Yeah, let's do that. So in that reference, they actually have a section for the pipes. So I'm going to hit Control R again down here. And just add another one right there. And then just pull it back in the Y 0.5 again, I guess. And then I can just add another one and just snap it to the bottom in the Z-axis. There you go, and then just snap it in the Y-axis to this one. And then you'll want to like put your mouse over where the vertex is, so it'll be exactly where that other point is. Does that make sense? So you want to snap it to this line. Yeah, you can type it in or snap it, and it'll.
I don't know how you.
So you're just putting your mouse over that vertex because we have vertex snapping on, as well. But I'm just holding down Control and.
Why? I don't know. That's not working for me.
Holding down Control. There you go. So then you just want to hover over that one and then select it. Yep, there it is. And we actually need one more. So I'm just going to add another one and snap it to this one. And you see how I did that?
Mm-hmm.
And G, Y, and then snap to that corner. And yeah, it should be good. I don't know, I'm just going to move stuff around and get it to how I want it. But I'm not going to add any more geometry right now. So I just moved this one up a bit, and I like how that looks better. Okay. That's probably good for now. Okay, so let's add the pipes down here. Something I didn't do in the video because I was trying to speed through everything. Select, if you go into face mode and just select this bottom face, and then we want to press Shift S and do cursor to selected on the bottom. Now cursor is going to be there, so then when we add a cylinder in, it's just going to be in the center of it, rather than where we had our cursor before, which would have been a pain to line up. So then, yep, Shift A, and then we have our cylinder. Now we don't want to... The annoying thing about Blender is I wish they would change this, but if you like click out of here, if you like confirm it, you can't change the properties of this cylinder. So if that's the case, if you've already confirmed it, then just press Ctrl Z, get rid of that, and then add a new one. And then when the new one comes, down here in the bottom left, or I think F6, F6, F2, I don't remember. Down here at the bottom left, you have the properties, and we can change it. And we don't need 32 vertices right now. Like, that's, when we scale it down, that's going to be a lot. But let's see what it looks like when it's in the right place at the right size. So if we change the radius, well, first, let's rotate it. So in the rotation, in the bottom, just, you want to change the rotation on the y-axis to be 90 degrees. Then we want to turn the radius down at the top. And just pull that down a bit. Move it up in the Z location. Just get it in the right place while we're modifying it. I'm just dragging. And now we can change the depth. We want it to be 4 meters. 4. And hit enter. You killed it. There you go. And then depth of just type 4. And now we can check the vertices. Yeah, let's do. Yeah, I think I like 0.2 better for a radius. Just a thick one. So vertices, let's take it down to like 20. And honestly, 20 is probably fine. So that's good. And then we just hit Alt-A to deselect everything, and we can... I've always got a habit of pressing Control-S because it's so fast in Blender. Like, in Maya and other programs, if you save, it'll take a second to save. But in Blender, it's so quick that I'm just doing it all the time. I can't get that habit in other programs because it takes so long.
Yeah, freaking Tekla.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. That's so bad.
How do I make a new folder?
Let's see.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. They've done a lot of work on updating the UI lately, and now, as of like last week, they've locked it down, so they're not changing the UI until release anymore. They won't work on it, so people can start making tutorials, and their screen should look the same. It's a good thing to do. Okay. On these pipes, we don't need these faces. Something, I don't know, maybe I'll just bring this up now. So in a game engine, all the geometry that you bring into a game engine will automatically turn your faces into triangles. So if you just press L over this cylinder, or actually just press A. If you just press A and then press Control T, it will triangulate it, and this is what it'll look like in the game engine. Like, that's what the game engine will automatically do, which is fine. It's all under the hood stuff. You don't really notice it. But sometimes it can mess things up with your, like, reflection direction or your normals and things. So big shapes like this can sometimes mess that up. But if it's on a straight plane, it doesn't really matter. Like, this is acceptable because it's not modifying the geometry in a curvy way or anything. It's just straight, so it should be just fine. But anyway, just Control Z that. I just wanted you to see that that's what's going on when you bring it into a game engine. And there's a lot of all this misinformation online about triangles and quads and only modeling quads and stuff. But if you're not modeling for animation and you're not worried about how it's going to deform and stuff, triangles are perfectly fine. And for games, triangles are like everywhere. So if you run into any of that, don't get confused. Alright, there we go. We deleted those faces. So we have our main shape, so that's good.
Hang on.
Yeah. Oh. What have you got going on?
What was the keybind to make it only move on the Z-axis?
Just
like on
Shift
the ground?
Z.
There we go.
But it looks... It looks like it's in the air a bit, though. Is it? Oh, maybe it's just the camera angle. Never mind. No, it looks fine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Incredibles. Never mind. Okay. Cool. So I'm just gonna look at my reference. Yeah, this is fine. All right. Now let's go into just kind of smoothing this thing out. I think this is probably fine up here, leaving all this. Oh wait, actually not yet. We don't want to do that yet. Let's prepare our other panels first. So in object mode, we want to grab our wall panel and do Shift D to duplicate, and don't click yet. Just press X and snap it over somewhere else. Just as long as it's on the grid, it's fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter where. And then with this piece, we're gonna make the curved, the corner pieces, so we can actually make some corridors. So this is where I always like figure out. It'll take a while to figure out what I'm doing. Okay. So the corner, we need to rotate around a pivot point, and we can use our 3D cursor as a pivot point. So to do that, I'm just gonna, thanks. I'm just gonna give us some more space. I just took it over one more unit in the x-axis. Don't forget to hold on Control.
What does the middle mouse button do?
When you're moving? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so this is something I don't use that I guess you could use, but it's just another way to move along axes, I guess. Just depending on where your mouse angle is, but I don't know, that's weird. Yeah, I never use that. Blender's full of stuff like that, and there's so many different ways you can do one thing, which is nice to have, so you can just kind of work in your own style. So I just have this just away. We just need, I'm back in edit mode now on this object, and we just need to grab this corner, or this grid space right here. And to do that, what I'm gonna do is just select this vertex in edit mode.
Moving that.
I'm just going to select this vertex right here. This corner one that's on the floor already. And then I'm going to press E, which will extrude. And then lock it on the Y without confirming. And just hold down Control and get it to snap on that grid coordinate. Now we have a point that we can put our cursor to. So press Shift S. And then to cursor to selected at the bottom. Now we have the cursor in place, and we can delete that vertex now. And just press X, because it's closer to your fingers than delete is, and then just hit vertex. Alright. Now we need to select all these edges. So in edge mode, it's just going to be easier in edge mode. Hit 2 for edge mode, and then hold down Alt and click one of the edges on that cylinder, and it'll select the whole loop. And you can do that with the side of the wall panel too. It'll select the whole loop until it comes to a corner. Like a 9... It's kind of hard to explain, but basically it'll stop wherever it will come to a quad corner. I don't know. You'll just have to play with it and see how it works. It's hard to describe. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And now we need to extrude this and rotate it around the 3D cursor. But right now, if we try and rotate it, it's not going to rotate around the 3D cursor. So we need to change the orientation. If we go up here to this icon at the top. Why? Go away. There we go. Yeah, so up here we select this icon. It's got like the 2 circles. We want to change the pivot point to 3D cursor. Now we're good. So now if we hit actually maybe we can try this. Yeah, baby. Oh, that's beautiful. That is a new that's a new function. Oh, oops. I don't exactly know how it works. But okay, there you go. So you can type in 90 at the bottom right here. Just hit 90 degrees. Bonk. And then it should be good. So once you've made it, yeah, go ahead and rotate it just a little bit. And then in the bottom left, you can just type in 90 for the angle rotation. There you go. And then we're done. And just click off it and go choose a different tool. And now we have our... Yeah, and it's actually a good resolution as well. It's not bad. It's slightly low, but I don't know, for a big curve, it's
how
okay.
do we break this again?
How do we break it?
Art.
Oh, well, we're actually just going to delete, because it's all the same object right now. But we are, I mean, like, sorry, it's all the same mesh, like, it's all connected geometry. But in edit mode, we can go into face mode, and if you hold down Alt and click one of these edges, it'll select the whole loop, like we did with the edge select. So then you can do that, and then you can hit Shift and Alt and select one of these, and then hit X and delete faces. Boom, gone. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then bam, it's gone. Cool.
And it's gone.
Bang, and the dirt is gone. Okay, so now we just need a concave corner. So let's click this and duplicate it again. Hit X and Control. We'll snap it on the grid over here a bit. There we go. And now we just want to take the same edge, but go the other way with the spin tool. So, actually, you know what? Yeah, so in edit mode, we just need to select this edge. In edge select mode, oh man, I've got that right in the middle of the way. So hold down Alt and just select this whole side. And then you want this pipe as well. Control and Alt, Shift and Alt. Boom. And then, don't do anything yet. Hit Control I to invert the selection. And then you want to hit delete those. So vertices. Oh no, not vertices, sorry. Edges. Yep, there we go. So now we only have that profile. Actually, oh, I'm going to show you something really cool after this. Maybe it's a little bit, I don't know, you probably don't have to remember it, but I can show you some cool stuff. I'm actually going to go into object mode and just duplicate this. Oh, wait. Never mind. I'll show you it later, because I was going to show you, like, you can actually take a profile like this and use a curve to model just some crazy curve, and you can have it be this profile, the whole curve, and then just convert it to geometry. It's so nice. But we have to, this is geometry and not a curve, so it wouldn't work. I forgot about that. So anyway, now we need the 3D cursor to be over here. So then we come out doing this concave curve. Right?
We need to move both.
Oh, yeah, actually, we can just move it that way. Yeah, you're right. So in object, not in object mode, sorry. Are you in object mode?
I'm in object.
Yeah, right click that to cancel it. Then go into edit mode. And now you see the point of where your object's pivot is, the little orange dot. Yeah, there. So that's where we want our 3D cursor to be. So if we just select everything in edit mode and just hit G and then Shift Z and then just snap it to what? Where's it going to be if that's the pivot? Yeah. Yeah, right there. So if, sorry, my pivot is not in the same place as yours. So there's my center of my object, and then in edit mode, I'm just going to move all my geometry over here. Dunk. Except, that's annoying. G, Y, 1. There we go. Is it, yeah, I would hit G, Y, 1 in edit mode. And accept that. And then hit GX1. There you go. So now we can just spin, use the spin tool and rotate around that, but we need to put our cursor to where that pivot point, our object's pivot point is. So in object mode, we want to press Shift S to bring up the snap menu and do cursor to selected. And that should be right there. So back in edit mode, select everything, and then hit the spin tool. You there?
Yeah, I'm writing down a keybind.
Okay. And it's Shift spacebar? Shift spacebar. Oh wait, hold on. I've already got that on like a operator level. There you go. And then just doesn't matter how far you do it, just do it a little bit and then just hit the angle 90 degrees. And then we're good. That's such a nice tool. Good job, Blender. It's so easy to do. Now we can decide where we want to put the pivot point, and it should probably be on one of these corners, this one or this one. And I'm just gonna stick it right here. So I'm gonna select this vertex. Then I'm gonna hit Shift S. Oh, sorry, yeah, Shift S. Cursor to selected. And now in object mode, we can right click it and set the origin to the 3D cursor. Does that make sense, that process?
Yeah, it's hard to remember though.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a, like, I've always felt like it's a bit of a hack to do that. Although you're moving the 3D cursor where you want, and then you're just putting the origin where the 3D cursor is. Maybe you can do... Nah. Yeah, so that's just how to move the 3D cursor. Just, make a selection, put the 3D cursor there, and then you're just putting the object's origin to where the 3D cursor is. So, and it's probably hard to grasp easily right now. Anyway, so
that's just a weird process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I feel like that needs to be improved on. Like, you should just be able to just make a selection and then say that's where I want it to be, instead of having to move the 3D cursor and move. The 3D cursor is practically used for almost everything. I use the 3D cursor a lot. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, try moving stuff around and see if it fits well, and there you go. Now that's let's see.
Oh.
Is that gonna... Maybe that's not the best place to... Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, cool. Oh, that's right. I just had I was like doing it inside out. Then you can rotate it and whatever. So yeah. Oh, you probably still have 3D cursor on up here as the pivot point.
I already
Oh,
changed it.
nice. Good. Good.
I changed it to individual origin.
Individual origin is good. Sometimes it can, if you have that selected already and you try doing stuff, it'll do unexpected things. So medium point is like the standard and the, I don't know, the most expected behavior. And are you typing in like GZ90 and GZ minus 90?
Oh, I was holding control and rotate.
Oh, that works. That's actually really nice. I actually don't even do that. I always type it in, but that's really nice. All right. Okay, cool. We have our pieces now. Now, is the shading kind of weird on your screen?
No.
I got something weird going on, but it's easy to fix that. You just go into edit mode, select everything, and Shift N, and it won't do it. Oh, inside. There we go. Cool. So we can actually make a smaller variant of the wall piece, but we won't do that until we've finished more with the wall piece, so we don't have to do the work twice. Or I don't know, maybe it'll be fine to do it now. Yeah, it's probably fine. So when you've finished messing around with that, we can make a smaller wall piece. Nah, you know, let's do that after we've done everything else. Okay. So what work do we need right now? So it's shaded flat, so we can see every face individually, and we don't want that. So if you select it on an object level, just select one of them and then right click it, and you want to do shade smooth. It's right at the top. Boop, and it's going to look like crap right now. Don't worry. And then do that with all of your objects. And actually, you've been doing Shift Z to duplicate it, and if you do Alt Z,
D
what?
to duplicate. Shift D to duplicate.
Did I say something else?
Shift Z.
Oh, sorry, Shift D. Yeah, I don't know why I said Shift Z. But if you do Alt D, it'll link it up. It acts just the same as a duplicate, but when you edit one, it'll edit the other. So you can do all work on one while still having a whole level built up, and it'll change everything. It's really nice.
How do you link after?
So linking after the fact is pretty easy too. You just have to make sure that they are the same object. So click one, shift click the other. You can't select all of them. You have to make sure you're only selecting the same piece. So yeah, select all of your long pieces, yeah, and then at the top hit object. Hold on, move that down. And then you can do make links, or Control L, I guess. There it is, and then object data. Bump. Except I don't know if I had them both selected. Make links, object data. There we go. So if you go into edit mode now with one of them, it'll edit the other. And yeah, it already is with the smooth shading too, so that's nice. Yeah, so do that with your curved pieces. Do that with your concave, and then do it with your convex. And I haven't duplicated them yet, but if I want to make any linked copies, all I have to do is hit Alt D instead of Shift D in the future, and then it'll act the same as a duplicate. Though,
What if I do? I'm curious.
that's where I would like hit C and then middle click it. Yeah, there you go.
Shift Alt does it too. If I do Alt D. Whoa.
That's because you have individual origins on. It's rotating everything on its own individual. There you go. Nice. And you did Alt D this time?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Though I wouldn't try setting up something big right now because we're going to have to take our objects through some modifiers, and linked objects kind of get tricky when you're applying modifiers. So
what I wanted to test worked.
Cool. All right, so with our pieces then, we have them shaded as smooth, and it looks like garbage right now. Over on the properties on the right, like this whole tab of icons, you want to hit the green triangle, object data, and then normals, and then you want to hit auto smooth. And I usually do an angle of 50 degrees because when you get the bevels in there, it usually handles it better, but you can tweak that later on. So you want to do that with all your objects, and yeah, auto smooth 50 degrees, auto smooth 50 degrees. And if we had done this first and then duplicated our objects to make the convex and concave corners, all this would have already been done because we would have just duplicated the same object. So it's like there's so much of this thinking taking place. Of how much am I going to repeat myself? And if I can prevent that early on, I want to be doing that thing first, which is, you know, apply your auto smooth, put your bevels on, bevel modifier on and stuff, and then duplicate it so you're not repeating yourself 3 times. All right, so these pieces. Next, we need go into this little wrench icon. That's your modifiers in the properties, and then add the bevel modifier. And then next, while we're here, after you've added that, while we're here, let's add a weighted normal modifier, which is all the way to the left, kind of middle way down the list. Boop.
Add what?
It's called a weighted normal modifier. All the way to the left. Yep, there it is. And then on this modifier, it should appear on the bottom of your stack. You want to press keep sharp and face influence. And when you play around with things more, it might, like, I don't know. It's a lot to take in right now. But just do these things and it'll be fine. Then in your bevel modifier options, for the set face strength mode, hit affected, and it'll tighten things up a bit. So you want to be doing that with all of your 3 different pieces. So I'm just going to repeat those same steps again. Just add those 2 modifiers, the bevel first, and then the weighted normal modifier. And it does make a difference where they are in the stack. So my weighted normals, my reflections, are being applied after the bevel. If it was before, you're going to get some weird results. So you need to make sure the weighted normals modifier is always last. It's the very last thing you want to be modifying, is how the reflection is of the geometry. So bevel and weighted normal. Keep sharp, face influence, and then affected. Affected. There we go. Cool. So there's that.
Does that work for object data? For links? Make links? Modifier?
No, modifiers aren't applied. And I think...
I fixed it.
Yeah. I think the reason is... Oh, how are you doing that?
Object, make links. Oops. Object, make links. Modifiers.
Nice. I didn't know you could do that, because I just didn't even look.
Bevel.
Oh, well, hold on. Oh, that's because
That's not working though.
Well, hold on. I think you're selecting. All right, so this is a big thing with Blender. Whatever you select last is the active selection, and when you do an operation, whatever the active is, that's like all functions are based off of the active selection. So you actually want to select the one with the modifiers last, and then link it. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. I just didn't even look and see that. But UV maps, fonts, modifiers, instance collection, animation data, materials. That's nice. I've seen them. I just didn't even look at them. Okay.
Wait, I want to try something.
Okay. But if I do this,
oh, that's cool. You can't link objects that are different.
Yeah,
for like properties, but you can link their modifiers to all of them.
That's cool. But I think as well that it's not a live update, the modifier link. Because if I turn my bevel modifier up, what? Oh, wait. What? What's going on? Is it clamping overlap? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so if I change my width, it's not changing any of the properties. So it's like, I guess it's an easy way to convert them over. I don't know why that's under the linked then, if it's not updating live.
Wait, but if I do this now, oh yeah, see, you just do it again.
Yeah, you just have to do it again. But they will update live if you're editing them, you know, at a not an object level but an editing level. I wonder how long this recording's been. It's almost 1. But anyway. Okay, so let's carry on. So with game objects especially, and it kind of depends on what you're doing, what project you're working on, whatever. But you don't really need bevels on the concave corners. And I had a whole section about this on the documentation. Sometimes you do if the shape is big enough, but you're just trying to catch the light. I don't know. A lot of the times you don't need them on the concave corners. They're mostly needed for the convex corners. And in this case, it looks fine. Like, it looks pretty good. But right now, we're getting an ugly result on these curves because it's applying a bevel on every single edge. So the limit method in the modifier, if we put it on angle, it'll only do the, setting it on an angle limit. So we can change that limit to whatever we want, but 30 should be fine. And then I'm just going to turn it... What?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to turn the width down to 0.05. Sure, that looks fine. So I need to do that. Or I guess I can just select all my objects and then link them.
Well, now they're broken. Or is that going to fix when we do them all?
Go ahead and link the modifiers again and see if that fixes it. You can press Control L. You can see that.
Oh, that does fix it.
On the menu, yeah. So, but yeah, you can hit Control L to bring up that links menu, and you can see that on the actual menu itself. If you're looking for it in the object menu, it says Control L next to it. So then, that's showing you what it is. So there you go. So now it's nice and smooth, how it should be. Yeah, so okay, now I'll show you materials. So if we go down here in the properties tab, go down to the very bottom one, that isn't the checkered one. Just hit the red ball. That's material. Now we want to have an object selected when we add a material. So we just hit new, and then it's going to bring everything up. We want to change the name of it first. So right here, where it says material, we want to change that to, and when you put it into a game engine, it's useful to have all your materials on a similar naming convention, so then they're easy to search. You can just type in M and all your materials come up or something. So good practice to do M underscore, and then, I don't know, you could just say metal light. So we can do a light metal, and then we can do a dark metal. Metal light. There we go. M underscore metal light. And then I can change the properties of that now. So first off, we want to change the metallic, and this is going into, you know, there's a whole lot that goes
Texture?
into materials. Sorry, what texture?
Yeah, this is like
I
texture.
wish this
right?
stupid thing would go away. Can I like hide these icons? Because I can't even see what you're doing. But okay, go ahead. What?
It's okay. No, never mind. Just go ahead.
All right. So yeah, like this is going into a lot of material stuff, which can kind of go deep, but metallic is just going to change the metal property, and roughness. Like these are the main two things: metallic and roughness. There's a lot that goes into the other ones, but just remember that with metallic, you either want it at a 1 or 0. Is it metal or is it not? Basically, so metallic, it is metal. Let's do 1. Also, we're not going to see these materials update unless we go at the top right of our viewport and hit the look dev view. So if we click that, it'll put us into a real-time render type thing. So click that, and yep, there you go. It should appear. So let's add some more materials. We can actually just copy this. If we have this material selected in the list, we can just hit this, add a new material. It's this little copy icon. You hit that, and it's going to come up with another one. Our other one disappeared, but if we just change the name of this to Metal Dark, we can find the other one easily if we just hit this plus icon at the right. And then down here, we just find it and select it. Metal Light, Metal Dark. Sorry, the ball icon next to new. At the left, right, yeah. Yep.
Oh,
There you go.
weird.
Yeah, and that's going to take getting used to, like, how it's all set up. Like, I think they're redoing some material stuff, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Anyway, so now we have a dark variant too, if we want, that we can put on, you know, certain faces or something. And we can apply that to the pipe, I guess. So in edit mode, if we just hit L over the pipe, and it'll just select all the linked stuff. And then over here, if we have Metal Dark selected, and then hit assign, and then if we hit Control I, just to be sure, to invert the selection, and I think you have to do that with your mouse in the viewport. There you go. And then hit Metal Light and assign. And then we go on Metal Dark and change the base color down. It should change our pipe. So now it's a dark metal.
I don't know why I selected that too.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. You just select that face and then hit assign with the other material selected. And typically, if you're ever assigning materials, you want to be doing it with face selection. You don't, it's gonna mess stuff up. You get weird results if you do it in like a vertex or an edge mode. So anyway, just go ahead and do that now with the other ones. You've already created the materials, so you don't have to create any more. That happens at like a file or a world level, I guess. And having materials made. So just go ahead and click one and then just add them both to your list. Make 2 slots and just get them in right. And, you know, another time I can show you how to put textures and prepare it for textures. So you can actually get interesting looking stuff. You can have like just details that change the lighting of it and make it look more realistic. Yeah. So at this point, and we can probably stop here for today and then we can do more later. But if you want to modify these pieces a bit more and just play with getting a good shape and stuff and playing around with a lot of the main functions in the geometry editing stuff, just get something that you like, and then next time we can talk about how to get it in Unity or something. I don't know, assuming you want to use Unity or Unreal Engine. I use Unreal Engine at work, so I guess I use that more than Unity now.
What would I change about this?
I'll just add in more
add
details. Yeah, so like you're only
meshes. Yeah, I get.
Yeah. So just little details, kind of like this. So if we go in here and say, oh, you know, I'm gonna hit my 3D cursor here. Fun tip. I actually think I need to do one thing. Or
maybe I'll add like a doorway.
Yeah. Yeah, just add like a doorway piece or something that works. So there's actually some really cool feature, like, you know, an object will appear wherever your 3D cursor is. You can actually have your 3D cursor turn depending on what face it's selected. So it'll make a cube on the same angle of the face that you've put the 3D cursor on. You have to set that up though. All you have to do is just click the 3D cursor tool on the top left. And then once that's clicked, if you press N to bring up the extra panels, N for Niagara Falls. Go ahead and press N. And that'll bring it up on the side. And then hit Tool, the Tool tab that comes up. Where it says Orientation, change that to Geometry. And then, if you hit Shift and right click... Oh no, sorry. If you just left click with the 3D cursor tool selected, then it'll rotate to the face. But if you want the shift right click to do that, it's really annoying. This is something I found out not that long ago, but there's a preference that's overriding the shift right click. And I think it's stupid that it's set to view. I think by default it should just be set to geometry, personally. But if you want to change that, just go into Edit, Preferences. Can you see my window that pulled up? Or can you just see... No. Okay, that's annoying. Well, I'll just lead you to it. So go on the left, you want to go to Key Map.
Okay.
And then in that search bar... actually, where it says name, where it says name, change that to key binding, and then type in the search shift right, and then scroll down to where, let's see,
I can't roll.
I'll just click. Can you just click and then scroll?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So scroll down to 3D, set 3D cursor. It says 3D view and then set 3D cursor. Let's see. It's such a long list. It's crazy. But it's, if you're all the way...
Got it.
Okay, good. Yeah. So drop that down. Yeah, there you go. And then where it says orient at the right, it says view. Down. Right there. Change that to geometry. Now, if I think it saves by default now, if you exit. Now if you shift right click, you don't need to even go into that tool on the left. I never use this tool panel on the left. You can press T to actually get rid of that. Press T. Oh, crap. How do I get rid of that? There we go.
How do you get rid of the right?
Press N. N you'll use here and there. I use that pretty often. But yeah, you don't even need to use that tool anymore. So just select the regular select tool or press W or whatever. And now if you just like shift right click on anything, it's just going to align to your geometry. So if I've got this edge, if I've got this face selected with the shift right click, if I put my 3D cursor there, now when I create an object, oh, go away, Discord. I mean, stay here, but don't do that. Okay. So I've shift right click and I've got that. And then if I hit shift A, and I want to do this in edit mode because I want it to be part of this wall panel. I don't want them to be separate. Like if I move the wall panel, I want it to move with it. So it should be the same object. So in edit mode on the wall panel, shift A, you hit cube or something. And then down here in the options or in the properties, it says align world. Change that to 3D cursor. Bam. And there you go. And then you can just scale that down. And just a quick, very useful tip. I use this all the time. Like I've got these mapped to my mouse. I use them all the time. But you remember this pivot point menu? This and this menu where it says global, those I'm constantly using and changing all the time. The hotkeys for that is comma and period in the same order that you see them on the screen. And it'll bring up the pie menus. Orientation is everything. Like if you want to move this face down in its direction and not like, you know, you don't want to move it like this. You want to move it like down towards where it's facing. If I go into the comma menu, the orientation menu, and go to, if I hit normal, which is the face normal direction, and then have that selected, and now if I press G and Z, it's going to move it in its face forward direction instead of like on a global orientation, if that makes sense. But I've got to be using the axes if I do that. So, and thankfully, yeah, if you got that gizmo one, like that is really useful. You can see exactly what it's changing. So if I go back and press comma and change that to global, you can see how the axis changes. And then hit normal, then local should be the same as global right now. But if you want, and this is a lot probably right now, but if you want local to change, what would change that is if you rotate it on an object level. So I'll just show you real quick. You don't have to follow this, but in object mode, I'm just going to create a cube. Oops. And it, hold on. I got to change this back to world. But if I've got this and on global, my orientation is set to global, like I haven't rotated or anything. So if I change it back to local, it should be the same until I rotate it. My orientation's on global. I'm just going to rotate it on the X and rotate it on the Z a bit. Now if I go back to local, like that's the rotation I did. It's like the axes on the object's level. But if I go back to global, you know, that's like the world's X, Y, and Z. Because I rotated the object, local changed. Does that make sense? It's like,
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's a lot that goes into that, but like orientation and pivots are everything. And that's why they're right there on the screen. You're always using them. Comma and period, like You're always changing that to just align your movements right. But once you get used to that, it's so nice. Cursor's an interesting one. I haven't used cursor much, but that could be super useful, especially like if it's aligning with that. So like, oh, that's nice. So I could like pull this up here. Oops, hold on. Change that to global. Pull this up, and now have my 3D cursor right here, and change this to cursor. Now it's going to be in the cursor's direction. GZ, bam. Like, that's so good. Oh, right there. GZ. There we go. But yeah, orientation is everything. I never use gimbal. I hardly ever use view, but it's really useful. Sometimes, like, you'll find you'll need it sometimes, but I always use global, normal, and local. Mostly global and normal. But anyway. And then, yeah, your pivot points. So I have these mapped to my mouse because I'm always just clicking them. And really, like, with my 12 mouse buttons, I'm always trying to map everything that's on the right side of the keyboard that I'd have to move my hand and try and find it. Those are the buttons that I'm putting on my mouse so I don't have to move any hands and I can just click it right away. Everything that's on the left side of the keyboard, though, that my hand can already reach when it's in just its normal position, I just leave those there. I don't map those to my mouse. So anyway, there's a bunch of cool tips. So yeah, you could just take that object, take this cube, align it to 3D cursor, scale it down. And this is where having the bevel modifier is like sometimes good and sometimes bad. But I'll show you this, so maybe you can watch this later or something. But if you change the limit method to weight, it'll get rid of everything until you select an edge. I'm just going to select these edges. Then over here in the N, I'm hitting N. And then I hit item up here. The mean bevel weight. That is what the bevel modifier is looking at now. So I have my edges selected. I've changed my bevel modifier to limit on the weight method. And in the N panel, up here in item, the top one, change the mean bevel weight to 1. Now it's going to like give 100% to whatever width my bevel modifier has. And this, I use this all the time. It's so useful because I don't want everything to have a bevel sometimes. Like, I don't want my concave angles to be a bevel, unless they're really big, you know. In that case, I can always press Control B as well if I select those edges. I can do a destructive one where I can't, you know, I'm editing it and once it's on, it's done. And like, there, the geometry's made. You've got to, you know, work your way around it now. But that's why having the bevel modifier is so nice, is I can change the width of this whenever I want, and it doesn't change the actual geometry. So,
cool.
Yes. It's probably just a lot to take in right now.
A little bit.
But, yeah, just, you gotta play with it, and the more time you spend with it, like, it's just gonna become second nature so fast. So 1, 2, 3, and then Control L, modifiers. There, bam. Sweet. But yeah, I can change this now, this little detail, without having to. I don't have to worry about the bevels. So I don't know. This could just be some little computer panel or something. I'm gonna press I to inset. This is a really useful one. I and E. E to extrude, I to inset. I use those all the time. I didn't really show you a lot of like super hardcore modeling tools yet. We can go over that next time. But yeah, I and E are great. I'm just going to pull that in. And now I've got, I don't know, I could do something cool with that if I wanted. Put some like buttons on it. 3D cursor. Ugh, depth. Turn that down, turn that down. So it's going to take a while to get used to all this stuff, but we'll go through another time and I can go through this stuff with you. Orientation, I want... I'm probably going to use that so much more now because I don't have to switch as much. I can just click that. Click my 3D cursor there, change it to 3D cursor, and then just move it. Oh, that's great. Shift D, move it in the Y. And here's a useful thing as well. You can repeat your last action by pressing Shift R, and it'll just repeat exactly what you did last. It's really useful. I do that a lot.
How do I get the bevels off of this piece?
So that will be on your modifier. So your modifier settings currently set to angle, and you want it on weight. And now, like, that got rid of everything, but don't worry, like, go into edge mode. And you can press 2 for that. And then select the edges that you want a bevel on them. So, like, this edge, this edge, this edge. When you have those selected, that's when you want to press N up here in the top little menu thing. Change the mean bevel weight to 1 now. No, not that one. That's the vertices data. You want to change the edges data. There you go. And change that to 1. Bam. Full control, and it doesn't... It, you know, like... You're not having to, when you're changing the shape of things, you don't have to work around that geometry. It's not applied yet. Until you apply it, then it will become geometry, and then you have to deal with it. But that's it's such a good thing with Blender, being able to have all that information without having to work around it. For these buttons or something, I could just make a new material. Boop. And then I could make these like glow. Oops, come on. So I made a new material. I'm gonna call it M underscore button red. And then, I don't know, change the color of it to red. And change emission to red too, because we want it to emit light. And then hit apply or assign. There we go. 3 buttons, and I could add more stuff on there if I wanted. And now here, like, I don't have to, if I want to bevel on this stuff, I don't have to set it to 1 and give it all of the width that the rest of it has. I can set it to like 0.5, so half the amount of what's in the modifier, if that makes sense. Super useful. Got all the edges selected. Select that. Select that edge. Boop, doop, boop, boop. Except that did not go well. I can
select just the object in the in an object.
Press L. And that will select all the linked geometry. So anything that's connected. And pay attention to what comes up on the bottom left too, because you can change how that operates as well. So with select linked, you could have everything that's connected by angle, I think sometimes. I think that's something else.
Normal's all goofy.
Probably because you have all of the faces, because you got them all selected, so it's getting all the normals.
Oh.
Yeah, you should just play around modeling with stuff, make a mess, and just keep messaging me when you come up with stuff like, how do I go about doing this? Or, you know, I want this kind of result. Is there a good way to go about doing that? I'm having a problem with this, and I think it's because of overlapping, clamp overlap. There we go. Doop, doop, doop. There we go. Now, why is that not doing it? Oh, that's why. Sometimes you're going to get messed up geometry. It's good to select everything and then right click and merge. Oh, what is it?
How'd you do the extrude around the side there?
So undo that. You want to select both faces, then press I.
Oh.
Which will inset everything. And by the way, like, there's no other program out there that does inset better than Blender. Like, it's stupid why no other program can do it. But anyway, then you can move that out, push that in.
Why does it? So I pressed E. Now why is it doing a weird thing?
Now it's pushing against the normal average, but you can cancel that. So actually what I did to get the result I got, inset's actually really powerful. Like, it has its own extrude. But I can take a cube, and if I take these faces and press I, if I press that, so I have that now. If I press I again with those selected and hold down Control, it's gonna not, like, if I don't hold down Control, it changes the width. But if I hold down Control, it'll change the depth of it. And that inset is actually really, like, it's better than just the regular extrude. Right now, you probably have... Oh, good. I'm glad I'm seeing you do this, because this is, like, crucial. Like, this is a problem you'll always run into forever. But right now, you probably have double geometry. So if you right-click to undo that, if you try select a vertex, go into vertex mode, and select this vertex that you have on your geometry, and move that, you've got a double face there. It should have moved everything. You've got to check that every once in a while. Like, just move a vertex, and if it doesn't move the way you expect it to, you've got double geometry or something. So, undo that. There's a really fast way to fix it. Press, or do the select linked, so press L over it. And then right click. And you have to be in vertex mode for this. It's context sensitive when you right click to what mode you're in. And you want to do merge vertices by distance. And then at the bottom you can change the distance, but it should say that it removed some vertices at the bottom. Or, like, if you move this, if you scroll and change that, it'll, like, change. Does it show, like, how much it, if it's removing anything?
I don't think so.
In the properties right there on the left. Oh, there you go. Well, it did it, so, like, it wouldn't do that if it wasn't fixed. So anyway, now you can just select those faces and then hit I and then Control. Yeah, there you go. And the inset tool is so good. What?
How do you change where the base of your camera is?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing too. So make a selection where you want your camera to be focused on, and then hit numpad period. That's actually something I've got right at my thumb on my mouse. Like, that's where my thumb rests, because I'm always changing where my camera is focused.
Is there an automatic mode like in Tekla?
I think there is. You have to go in the preferences, edit preferences, and then navigation, orbit around selection. There we go. So hit that top one, and that should give you what you're looking for. So, like, it'll rotate around whatever's selected. So you just pan to move it and center it, and then that is nice to have, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Do you like that?
Yeah, I like it better.
I might
That's what I'm
try.
used to.
Yeah, I might try playing with that today and see if I get used to it. That is kind of nice. Cool. Yeah, so we covered removing doubles, edge weights for your bevels. You have extrude and inset. I think that's enough to get going. Orientation and pivot. Yeah. And then when you get into nitty gritty, like editing geometry and stuff more, there are some tools that I'll introduce line upon line. So I won't just throw everything at you. I'll wait until you come up with a problem and then talk to me about it and I'll let you know. But yeah, anyway, like that's a lot for now. So I would just focus on making these individual pieces look good, add any more if you want them. And then we can talk about like how to get a texture on them and then get them in the game engine. So
Okay, cool.
yeah. How long is that? How long have we been doing this?
Hour and a half.
That's not bad. Yeah, cool. So get your hands dirty then and let me know when you come across problems.
Wait. 2 hours. Oops.
2 hours, really?
Yeah, we started at 11:30.
Well, fun.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with me and showing me stuff.
Yeah, no problem. If I had someone just to tell me all this stuff at the start, man, that would have been so much easier. That would have been so nice.
What'd you do? Just watch videos and stuff?
Watch a buttload of videos. Yep. And skimming through all the crap videos that are on there, it's a pain. But
Sure.
anyway, that's probably enough for you for today. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So anyway,
All right. Where do I put my application
you hired.
in? Yeah. I can model a rock in my mind, but I'll need some help. Alrighty. Cool.
Cool. But
cool,
yeah,
man.
don't leave it for too long to play around with it some more. Otherwise, like, you just got to keep exercising your mind to get used to it all. It's a stretch at first, but just keep it going.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, have fun.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, you're welcome. Enjoy.